Hey! That's unhealthy! As a vascular biology student, you should know better than to pollute your body with unhealthy foods like McDonald's.
Who are you?
I am Atherosclerosis Prevention Man, and I save more lives than Batman and Superman combined, because cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death worldwide.
Well, I love McDonald's. I'm a young man who shows no signs of cardiovascular disease. Here, take a look at my coronary artery. See, there's no deposit of any fatty molecules anywhere.
Well, you may be correct, but you must take control of your cardiovascular health at a young age.
Why should people like myself care? The prevalence of cardiovascular disease is low in young people.
Did you know that unhealthy lifestyle habits in young adults predisposes them to cardiovascular disease later in life? Diseases like myocardial infarction, stroke, and hypertension. And the incidence of cardiovascular disease has been slowly increasing in young adults over the past 20 years.
Why did these innocent little fries have to suffer?
Those innocent little fries had to suffer because they're unhealthy. A small French fries from McDonald's contains 240 calories, 17% of your fat intake, and 11% of your sodium intake. Your Big Mac contains 520 calories, 43% of your fat intake, and 40% of your salt intake. These things are going to increase your blood pressure, they're going to increase your blood total cholesterol, and they're going to increase your blood triglycerides.
Oh, okay, this is starting to make sense. In class we learned about the development of atherosclerosis.
Well, why don't you tell me, as a vascular biology student, how you can link pathophysiology to diet?
Absolutely! Atherosclerosis, man, here's what we learned in class. The tunica intima, that's the most inner layer of the blood vessel, is the one most affected by atherosclerosis. The cholesterol in our diet are transported by chylomicrons called LDL. That stands for low density lipoproteins. And those are going to irritate the endothelial cells of the tunica intima and actually immigrate inside the basal cells of the tunica intima. So let's draw them in. Once they are inside the basal cells of the tunica intima, the macrophages, which are the immune police of the body, are gonna detect them, and they're gonna go in and try to eliminate them by ingesting them. Once they digest the LDL proteins, they're gonna die and form foamy cells. So what you have is an aggregation of macrophages and LDL inside the body. So let's draw them in, and those macrophages are going to die along with LDL molecules, and that's going to form a fatty streak inside the intima, lumen intima. Now the smooth muscle cells of the tunica media is going to form a fibrous cap on top of that fatty streak, and eventually it's going to bulge into the lumen. So the resulting is a big bulge from the tunica intima that's going to reduce the surface area of the blood vessel. So let's draw the blood vessel with a big clot that will reduce flow downstream and increase pressure upstream. The increase in pressure is going to make the heart work harder, while decreased blood flow will reduce nutrients, oxygen to organs, and that's going to make them ischemic and might actually make them die. If that clot happens in the heart, you might just get a heart attack. Now this all makes sense. My biology class finally makes sense after I've connected all the dots. Thank you, Atherosclerosis Prevention Man. I guess I never really connected my diet to cardiovascular disease before now. It's just too bad that we don't take obesity and lack of exercise seriously at a younger age.
Well, you know, being proactive is the key to being healthier later in life.
What changes can I make to reduce my risk?
Well, you can start with something like this.
An apple.
A snack that's high in fiber, low in fat, and a low glycemic load.
Thank you, Atherosclerosis Man. I feel probably better in a few years. The future me will thank myself.
Well, looks like my work here is done. I'm going to go test some of those new phosphodiesterase drugs. Here they have great side effects.